Hi, this is Andrew Bowser, the director of Onyx the Fortuitous and the Talisman of Souls, and you're listening to the Horror Squad podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Horror Squad podcast. This is episode number 307, where tonight we are going to be reviewing 2023's It's a Wonderful Knife, currently streaming over on Shudder, so you can get your Christmas horror on. I am here as always with Todd and Steve. Gentlemen, how are we tonight?
Hello. Well, Steve.
Well,
I thought you were saying and you had something to announce, but you are well.
Me and Steve are both well. I will speak for Steve tonight. He's not allowed to talk.
Oh, all right.
That's right. Football season is coming close to the end of the season.
I mean, we're almost to the playoffs for our Horror Squad podcast fantasy. We have 1 week left. It's a fucking nail biter, dude. We have top 3 teams that are like clearly in the playoffs and they've already clinched it. But we got one open spot, and Joe, you're not gonna make it, bud. Sorry.
No, no, I'm not. My team really fell off. I think I've lost like 4 or 5 in a row, but I'll be back next year. I will say I wasn't very active the whole month of October. I don't think I really checked my team, so that was kind of my downfall.
Yeah, but it's been fun. We have the little sub group in the Discord. We talk a lot of trash, and it's just, I don't know, it's fun, man. Fantasy football's good. But my weekend, man. How was your weekend, Joe? Good.
My weekend, yeah, no, I worked all weekend. I've been working a ton of overtime, trying to get that Christmas money, you know what I mean? So yeah, I didn't do much, but I will say this weekend coming up for anyone in the Salem, Massachusetts area, Sam, aka Halloween Happy, is going to be doing a dark arts market. It's called Grave Tidings over at Old Town Hall. So she will be vending for it there. So if you're in the area, come down, say hi, say happy birthday, because Sam's birthday actually is this weekend as well. So yeah, should be a good time.
Hey, are you the muscle for the table?
Yes, I'll be helping her unload, load, and then just helping her anyway I can all weekend. So this is her second market she did. She did the night market with Black Veil in October, which we had a lot of fun at. So this one's called Grave Tidings. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see what the other vendors have in store too and whatnot. So I know Sam's hard at work as we speak, trying to get everything together for it.
I'm so jealous, man. So I also helped my wife doing a craft fair this past Saturday, and it probably had nothing as cool as what you're gonna see. You know, it's all like knitted shit and like a little bit of woodwork and a lot of Cricut stuff, like on cups and on napkins and on all sorts of shit. So yeah,
Cricut the sport or Cricut's the bug?
Cricut's like a design tool that a lot of people use to make like custom stuff. So yeah, it was but we did good, so I'm happy for her at least. And yeah, I'm jealous, man. Like I was just sitting there, like I toured the craft fair like twice, and it's just there's nothing for me here. There needs to be I need to live in a Halloween town like Joe does.
Well, keep an eye on the Discord. I'll take pictures when we're there and stuff like that, so you can see if there's anything cool. Hit me up. I can grab it for you. I'm assuming it's going to be a lot of spooky Christmas themed, which should be fun. Maybe some Krampus and stuff like that. So yeah, should be a good time. I'll update you next week. Steve, I know Movie Club got delayed, I think a week, right? So it's coming up this week now.
Yeah, that's right. I had to move Movie Club because we were like crunching for that stupid craft fair. So I moved it by a week. So it's going to be this Friday, the day this episode releases, and we're going to be watching Shingles, the movie. So Shingles the movie is from the same person who made Carousel. So it's kind of got that low budget but crazy energy to it. So I thought it would be a fun movie to do over on the Movie Club. And speaking of which, we're also going to do Carousel 3, I think, for the final Movie Club in December. So we're going to have a double dose of Steve Rudkinski or something like that. I think that's how he says his name. So good times.
Now, when you say final Movie Club, just for the year, right?
For the year.
You're not closing
no.
down. Right.
Just for the year. Yeah.
All right. Just making sure.
Right. All right. So how about we spill a little tea?
Oh, you want the tea? I'm sorry. We don't serve tea. Nope. Instead, you get a cup of Joe. And now here's Joe with the news.
Alrighty, thank you so much, Chuck. And here we go. This is your cup of Joe for the week. Let's start off with exciting news, I think, after our review of Thanksgiving a couple weeks ago, and that is Eli Roth has officially announced Thanksgiving 2 will be coming. I know we kind of talked about whether it was actually going to happen due to box office sales from week 1, but man, week 2 came through. Like Thanksgiving week, like they killed it in the box office, as it crossed over $30 million. I think now at this point it's probably getting closer to $40 million, so it's definitely made its budget back and then some. So Thanksgiving 2 will be coming to theaters worldwide. You'll have to wait a year. It'll be coming in 2025. Eli Roth went on to say, we're going to take a year off so we can really write up a great script. We want to outdo ourselves, make it better than the first one. So yeah, there you go. Thanksgiving 2 coming soon. I'm sure we're all excited, right? I am.
He needs to up the horror, because I think I watched the trailer after watching the movie, and I was just like, God damn, it could be so much better. Not that I didn't like Thanksgiving, but hopefully he doesn't play to the theatrical audience, and he plays a little bit more to the kind of hardcore horror audience. But I have a feeling that won't be the case.
Yeah, 36 million so far. So that's pretty good for a little slasher. And I still think there's a second killer, man. So with part 2, you gotta go bigger, more kills like Steve was mentioning. Let's go Halloween Kills route, man. And just go fucking wild with the kills and cut some of the characters back so we don't have to listen to them all talk. But yeah, there's 2 killers in this movie. I'm calling it.
Well, how do you guys feel about waiting a year? Do you think that's the right move?
Yeah, I think it's like way too quick to put out a movie for Thanksgiving 2024. I'd prefer that they take the year and really kind of map it out and make something special. We've seen too many of these franchises try to pump out movies too quickly, and it very rarely turns out to be all that great. So no, I think that's definitely a wise move.
Yeah, for sure. It only works with Saw, or at least it used to.
Right. Agreed. I think taking the year will be good, but I just
I'm
hope
more excited for him coming to cons, man. Like if
I
all the
was
con
just-
goers.
I was just gonna say that he just got announced for a couple cons, Texas Frightmare Weekend and also Horror Hound, and I'm sure he'll be doing more. So Todd, I gotta ask, we're both gonna have opportunities to meet him now. What are you gonna get signed?
Ooh. Well, I did have Jordan Ladd sign a Cabin Fever 11x17 a few years ago, so I think I'll have him re-sign that or add his signature to that. But man, I love Hostel, so I might start something with that too. So I don't know. I'm just excited to meet him. I did meet him briefly in 2005. He was a guest, and I just recognized him. Hey, Eli, and took a picture with him. But I'm excited, man. I'm glad he's getting out there. What about you?
Yeah, I'm super excited. I don't think he's ever done cons before, and if he did, maybe in his early career. I'm surprised he's never done one, and I'm surprised he never did Rock and Shock back in the day since he's from the area. But yeah, I'm super excited. I mean, obviously, I'm going to add him to my poster project, like my big poster that I'm doing. But I think I want to add him to something else as well. I'm leaning Cabin Fever, but it would be kind of cool to like start a Thanksgiving project too, because I really did like that. So that could be really fun too. And I feel like a lot of the actors will probably do cons this year, maybe. So we'll see. All right, so yeah, go see Eli Roth this summer at cons near you. And Thanksgiving 2 coming out 2025. All right. An update from just a couple weeks ago. I had talked about, I could confirm that Beetlejuice 2 was filming again as it was filming in my area. Well, it is now done, as Tim Burton has announced that filming on Beetlejuice 2 has officially wrapped. He did it by posting on Instagram with a cool photo of him in the Netherworld waiting room. So for those of you on Instagram who check that photo out, it's really cool. They really did look like they did a great job recreating that waiting room. Beetlejuice 2 slated to premiere September 6th, 2024. Will there be delays due to, of course, the strike? It's possible, but as of right now, September 6th next year, Beetlejuice 2 is coming. Next bit of news here. Well, actually, staying on the Beetlejuice 2 train, Willem Dafoe revealed who his character in Beetlejuice 2 is going to be. He revealed he will be playing a dead B-movie action star in the movie. So
cool.
That sounds fun and really cool. So I'll keep you on that. Ladies and gentlemen, the Five Nights at Freddy's train will not die. I think Steve might talk about a spoof movie that he may have watched during Well Watch tonight as well. But Five Nights at Freddy has officially become the highest grossing Blumhouse movie of all time,
That's
ladies and
crazy, dude.
gentlemen. Yes. So it is at an incredible $283.1 million worldwide and $136.2 million domestically. It has broken the previous record holder of, would you guys like to take a wild guess?
Halloween 2018.
Incorrect.
Halloween Kills.
Incorrect. It actually breaks Blumhouse's record of M. Night Shyamalan's Split, which made $278.4 million worldwide. Five Nights at Freddy on a $20 million budget, ladies and gentlemen, now at $283 million worldwide. We're probably going to get a whole franchise out of this, obviously, now. I mean, sequel after sequel after sequel. I still haven't even seen the movie yet, because everyone keeps telling me it's not very good. So I'm like,
That's all right.
but I mean,
It's a kid movie.
can they improve? I know you both have seen it.
I mean, here's the bad news, man, is that, you know, congratulations to the filmmakers for making a hit, but for horror, this is bad because now all the studios will be like, PG-13 horror, it's back in. We got to shell these motherfucking films out, and that's all they're gonna do for the next couple of years is PG-13 horror, and then it's gonna suck. It's gonna destroy the market, in my opinion.
Yeah, and speaking to that spoof movie I watched, it's not actually my what watch this week because I watched a ton and I didn't think this one was enough to talk about. But I will say I did watch a movie called Freddy's Fridays over on Tubi, and I saw it. I'm like, well, this is obviously just capitalizing on Five Nights at Freddy's. I have to watch it to see what's up. And sure enough, I actually liked Freddy's Fridays more than I did Five Nights at Freddy's. It's like a gorier version, basically, of these creatures coming to life and killing some people. So yeah, I mean, it's not good. I'm not telling you it's good. I'm just telling you it's better, in my opinion. So if anyone wants to see kind of a more adult version of Five Nights at Freddy's with a way smaller budget, Freddy's Fridays over on Tubi is the way to go.
You gave it a 2.5 there, sport.
I know the kills were actually.
What'd you
two.
give? I gave it 2.
Yeah,
Slightly better. That poster looks like a Goosebumps thing, though. It's pretty cool.
You know, I watched after Steve posted the poster on our Discord, I did go and watch the trailer. I was like, yeah, this doesn't look that bad. I was like, it kind of looks like it could be fun. So I like the creature designs. I thought they were pretty cool looking. So
and they actually look like what they do on the poster, which is rare for fucking Tubi.
Yeah.
So yeah, I you know, like I said, check it out if you want to. I'm not saying it's good. I'm just saying it's better.
All right. Next bit of news here, an update on Robert Eggers' Nosferatu. This is one I am highly anticipated. We got a release date finally, so you can go check out Nosferatu Christmas Day next year, December 25th, 2024. The movie, of course, is going to star Willem Dafoe, Bill Skarsgård, Nicholas Hoult, Anya Taylor-Joy, Ralph Ineson, and Lily Rose Depp. Stellar cast there, and if anyone could do Nosferatu justice, I think it's definitely going to be Robert Eggers. He just has that whole vibe for it. So very excited for that. And Steve actually reminded me that'll be a double feature day, as Jordan Peele's new horror movie also will be premiering on Christmas Day. Whether that gets pushed or not, I just feel like putting 2 horror movies out on Christmas Day is a choice. So we shall see, but both obviously very prolific directors in the horror genre. So I see a lot of horror fans doing double features that day or that weekend. So I know I definitely plan on seeing both, and I mean maybe even do a double feature for the podcast. You know, a double.
Whoa, stop it right there. Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
All right. Well, 2 very, very big releases at the end of December. I mean, 2 potentially, honestly, top 10 movies there. So definitely something I think we're gonna have to check out before.
That's this year.
2024.
Oh, okay, it's
next year.
I don't even know what Peele's movie is.
No, completely under wraps. Nothing's even been. I mean, I think Steve was talking about this too. He said that Robert Eggers' Nosferatu already done filming and everything. Jordan Peele's, I don't even think it started filming yet, and we don't know what the plot is. So he did the same thing with Nope, though. Like I feel like that was kept under wraps for quite a long time. He did put out that teaser poster where you just saw the flags coming down, and that, you know, I'm sure I'd love to go back and hear our theories when that poster dropped and what we thought it was going to be and what it ended up being.
You might release it Christmas Day and put it like a year before release and another teaser poster. I could see Peele doing that.
For sure. So we'll keep you guys, of course, up to date here on your Cup of Joe. The next bit of news here, a couple more stories to get through here. The Black Phone 2. We knew it was coming, right? We knew it was going to happen, and it has officially been announced. Now, the most interesting thing I would say about this announcement is, well, so first off, the movie is going to be coming June 27th, 2025. So basically a full 2 years before we do get the movie. The most interesting part of this, though, is that the entire original cast is going to be coming back, including the grabber himself, Ethan Hawke. So that makes me believe we are going to get a prequel of some sort or something with flashbacks of Ethan Hawke. But I think you have to do a prequel, right? Because, like, how does this story go forward? Like, you know, like it's got to be a prequel or origin story, right?
This sounds like Saw regretting killing John Kramer and Insidious regretting killing Elise. You know, they're gonna try to do creative ways to keep him involved for the next 2 or 3, 4, maybe 10 movies. So yeah, who knows what they decide. It could be flashbacks, it could be a prequel, it could happen simultaneously as the events of the Black Phone. Who the fuck knows? Like they're gonna
I like that
figure
idea.
out a way.
Simultaneous film,
Mm-hmm.
like Back to the Future 2.
Right.
Interesting. Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, one and done. I thought it was a cool one and done film. I mean, we don't need another one, but it did so well, you know?
Agreed. Like, I don't know. I mean, I know it did so well, which is why we're getting the sequel, but I just don't know where you go from here. Like, okay, yeah, okay, you could do one more movie with a prequel, but after that, like, what the fuck do you do? Like, yeah, I mean, it just, I guess, like, you focus on, like, the ghosts and stuff like that, but, like, they're there because of the grabber. Like, you know, like, they're not going to help other kids. I don't know. It just doesn't make much sense to me. I think I agree. I think it should have been a one and done, but I think because of Ethan Hawke's performance, I could see why they're bringing him back. So we'll see. I mean, I think they could have went darker. I think that was one of our criticisms in the last movie, that they could have probably went darker with the movie, although it is PG-13 horror, and I'm sure they won't again. But yeah, I mean, I'm curious anyway to see. So a couple years, 2025, Black Phone 2.
But the kids are coming back too. They're slated for it.
Yeah,
So
they are.
that sucks because I remember it chapter 2, they de-aged him and it looked fucking awful.
Yeah,
So,
true.
like-
Because right, and if you're gonna do a prequel, they're supposed to look younger, I guess, or
Yeah.
you know,
Or if you do
similar in age.
simultaneous, like Steve's idea, you still need to look like you're, what are they, 12? I don't know. So 2025, they're gonna be like 15, 17
Yeah, and
ish.
that's like the worst time too, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Like
that's
fucking
good.
Mike is like 25 now
Right.
in Stranger Things.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
like, I don't know. That sucks.
I know. Yeah, that's a good point. Like, man, Stranger Things, like the final season, they're all gonna look so fucking old.
They're all fucking have
like-
kids and they have like beer bellies and shit and jobs.
Right.
And
That would be kind of cool though, right? If they did in the final season of Stranger Things, they kind of did like an It thing where like they're like them growing up and then like them young, like trying to kind of steal the It idea. That could be kind of interesting.
yeah, I mean the way they ended it though, like the town being destroyed, right? Or, like,
Yeah.
swallowed or something. So
It destroyed, like a couple buildings fell down, but the most like powerful being like of all time was supposed to like absolutely level the place. And it's
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, everybody's fine. Only like 2 people.
Right,
died.
right.
only the town bully / varsity star got cut in half by the
Right.
thing. We're good.
Right.
Okay, just a couple more stories to get through. Chucky season 3 part 2 is coming, ladies and gentlemen. So the season part 1 just ended back in, I believe it was October, Halloween episode. I thought honestly it was already filmed and coming, but due to the actor strike, it was never filmed. So it is going to be a bit of a wait for part 2 of Chucky. This season has been not great, but I feel like they're heading into a better direction with Chucky aging in his Chucky body, which it could make for some really great television and
That still
comical
looks so
television.
funny though.
Right,
him.
that's what I'm saying.
It's like
It
so
looks
funny.
hilarious. Like the pictures of him like aged,
Yeah,
it looks fucking awesome.
Benjamin Button, dude.
Yeah, right. So I am excited for that. So for you Chucky fans of the TV series, season 3, part 2 has resumed production. It'll probably be coming early next year, I would guess. And the final bit of news for tonight is an update on something we really haven't talked about at all. And that is Fede Alvarez's Alien movie that will be coming out. So a little update on that. The movie is slated to release August 16th of 2024. And what we found out today is that the movie is going to slot in between Alien and Aliens. So it will be right in the slap dab in the middle of those two iconic movies. So I'm excited. What do you guys think? Good, cool choice? I think it's a cool choice, right? Put in between the two best movies.
Perfect director. And if you're not gonna do Neil Blomkamp, definitely do him. And yeah, the time frame for this film, it's like that sweet spot with Alien and Aliens. Hell yeah, like I'm 100% in.
Yeah, I agree. I can't wait to see what he does with it. It should be pretty exciting.
Hell yes, I am super excited. Like Todd said, perfect director to do something like this. So I'm super excited. Next year, August 16th, 2024. Horror's looking maybe up for next year. We'll see. Hopefully, good directors doing horror sequels and stuff like that finally.
Yeah, I was actually going to say, so I actually read an article this week that gave all the major releases for 2024. And I thought, since you talked so many 2024 horror films, how about I just read out these are the big films. So these don't include like the indie stuff and all that stuff. These are like the theatrical releases coming out 2024 for horror. So, and they're not in order for whatever reason, but so we have A Quiet Place Day 1 on March 8th, 2024. We have Beetlejuice 2, which you mentioned, September 6th. Then we go to Ghostbusters Afterlife 2, which is now Frozen Kingdom or Frozen Empire, I think, which is March 29th. We got Godzilla X Kong, The New Empire, April 12th, which just dropped a trailer fairly recently. Then we go to Night Swim, which is the first big release on January 5th. Nosferatu, like you mentioned, Christmas. And then you have Speak No Evil on August 9th. Speak No Evil is the American remake of a movie both Joe and I put on our top 10 last year. It was a Danish film, I think it was, and it was terrifying. So recommend you check out that version because I don't know if the American version will be any good. We have Twisters, July 19th. Pretty excited about that. We have Trap. That's the new M. Night Shyamalan film on August 2nd. And like you said, we also have the untitled Jordan Peele film on Christmas. We have also an untitled Monkey Paw Productions horror thriller on September 27th. We have the movie from Fede Alvarez, the Alien movie, August 16th. And not quite horror, but maybe a little bit. Wicked Part 1 on November 27th. I don't know if they'll go the horror route with that. It's probably more mainstream, but there you have it. And Terrifier 3, of course, October like 27th or 29th right. Or something. It's not on the list, but we all know that's coming. So,
yeah, some cool, definitely some interesting titles there. Ones I'm very excited for. You guys have any? We'll wait. We'll wait for our 2020 end of year to do predictions for next year. So, but yeah, very exciting. Yeah, I guess that's it for horror news this week. Hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah. How about we do some what watched? What have you guys been watching?
Sure. I finally am catching up with What We Do in the Shadows. So I finished season 4, which it was good. It was good. And I started getting back to where it was. I don't think anything's ever going to compete with season 1, which was amazing. And I love the film as well. And I started season 5 and it's funny. I think you mentioned it, Steve, where it's like them just, in the house hanging out. And that's exactly what this needs because their chemistry within the characters is just so perfect. And when they got a little bit too big, it kind of like lost that charm because they were separated and you couldn't get like their interactions of what makes the show. And since they're so spread out and you had characters doing their own adventures, you're like blah, blah, blah. But now that they're all back in the house and chilling and hanging out, it's really funny. So I'm down for that. And one of the episodes I watched of season 5, it's so fucking funny. Where Colin Robinson is like merged with Nadja and he ends up getting banged. And he's like, "Can you feel that, Colin Robinson?" It was so fucking random. It's hilarious. Loving it. Can't wait to see what happens in the rest of season. Is that no season 5? Yep.
5, yeah. So 5 is so much better. It's like it's the closest we'll probably get to season 1 and 2. So I'm so happy they listened and went back to the basics.
100% agree. This newest season was fantastic. It was really a return to form in so many ways. So yeah, I'm excited to see where they go next. All right, my first one, 2022 release. Apparently Steve watched this. I don't know if we talked about it a while back, but it is a movie called Who Invited Them? I was just looking for something to watch, and Steve doesn't look like he remembers it based on his face, I see. But yeah, I was just looking for something to watch, and Sam found this like on just searching on VOD. This one is about a couple who just bought a new house. They're having a party, sort of a housewarming style party. All the guests sort of leave. They're getting ready to clean up for the night, and two randos come out of the bathroom, presumably banging or doing something in there, and they're like, who the fuck are you guys? And they're like, oh no, yeah, we're like blah 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 or whatever. And they're like, no, really, who the fuck, like, who invited you to this party? And they end up revealing that they are the neighbors next door, and they just kind of crash the party. From there, they're like, oh, well, yeah, thanks, well, I'm sorry, this was like, we made this so awkward, why don't you guys stay for a drink, blah blah blah. Things tend to progress from there. They, the more they stay over, they become sort of weirder and weirder as things go. Very uncomfortable situations start to progress and whatnot. And it all leads to the finale, which I won't spoil anything, but sort of think, I guess, similar to The Invitation in some ways, although I do think The Invitation did it better. Overall, I didn't think it was that bad. I see Steve gave it 2 out of 5 on his Letterboxd. I enjoyed it more than that. I will say, I definitely think it's worth like a one-time watch. It's nothing like amazing, nothing you need to jump out and go see, but I didn't hate it. I enjoyed it for the most part. I do think they introduced a lot of interesting things that never ended up going anywhere. That would be my biggest complaint, but I do think the twist was super obvious too. I saw it coming like a mile away. I called it like way before it happened. But yeah, overall, it's a nice crisp like 80 minutes. I think it does a good job creating those like uncomfortable situations that made me be like, oh shit, what's going to happen next? And it goes to some like pretty cool places, especially towards the end. So yeah, I give it a 3 out of 5. A decent watch.
I think I watched it the same week as Speak No Evil, which is also about two couples who are in uncomfortable situations. And
yeah, that's a tough comparison.
Speak No Evil is so fucking good, and this one, I don't know. I guess it just felt potential to me. So my first one this week is a 2023 film that I watched over on Tubi, and it's called Murder Size. So this is the story of a production company, and they're making an exercise video at their studio. They have a tight deadline, so they got to get through it. But a bunch of stuff keeps happening that keeps stopping production, and all of a sudden a killer is on the loose and starts killing the talent inside of the studio. You do know who's doing the killing. It's revealed pretty quickly that it is someone like that's part of the group, and then it's kind of like how they deal with all that. And yeah, I mean, I had no expectation of this being any good, to be honest with you. The first like 30 minutes reminded me of the new stuff that Full Moon is doing. It's like a lot of over sexualization of women. It's got like pretty cheap kills and nothing really special. But I don't know what the fuck happened. But in the second half of this film, it just turns around and becomes a pretty awesome film. And I was kind of taken aback by it. Like, wow, the kills are starting to get a lot better. The practical effects are pretty good. And if you're in it for tits, you get quite a bit of those. In fact, there's an entire scene that goes on for far too long where a girl wants to show a guy her breasts, and he doesn't want to look because he thinks he's going to lose his job. And she just like constantly is at him, like, come on, look at him, touch him, come on. And she's like flaunting him. It's like a good 8-minute scene where that's all she's doing is trying to get this dude to look at her tits. It's a really weird movie, but it was a lot better than it had any right being, in my opinion. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars, which for a movie like this, I think is pretty high. So if you like kind of it's got like a little bit of old school Full Moon, a little bit of Trauma, like that kind of stuff. You'll be into this. So Murder Size over on Tubi.
Alrighty, my last one is 2023's When Evil Lurks over on Shudder, film from Argentina that Joe and Steve have both talked about. It talks about our brothers Pedro and Jimmy, who are, just a couple dudes hanging out, and they learn that over at this lady's house, there's a demon that's like going to be born. So we go over to that house, and the gentleman that's infected or possessed or whatever, the demons like inflate them, like morbidly obese, and they're like leaking fluids, and it's really gross and things like that. Turns out like you can't just kill it, you got to do like a special thing. So they call what they call a cleaner, I think it was like an exorcist essentially, and to come cleanse him or whatever. But he gets ripped apart in the woods. So now they're like, dude, what the fuck do we do? Blah blah blah. So the brothers decide to take the infected body and dump him like hours and hours away, but it goes wrong and it ends up infecting like everything that they come in contact with. And I guess the demon or possession, whatever, jumps from like host to host or whatever and causes them to kill themselves and each other. I don't know if I got that right, but overall, I thought it was really cool. But there was something off with it that it stopped me from absolutely loving it. But I really liked it. Right, the gore is really cool, and then there's some scenes that like hit out of nowhere that are like 100% like, oh my god, like what the fuck is happening? Like a lady, for example, starts killing herself out of nowhere. There's some child violence that it's fucking nuts what happens. And for those scenes alone, and they're willing to take a risk and go there, hats off to you, right? I think I was in the wrong mindset for this film though, because it is subtitles, you have to pay attention. I think I was doing work emails and stuff in between, so I kind of lost some of the story. So I definitely want to recheck it out. But for right now, it's a 3.5 out of 5 over on Shudder, and that's When Evil Lurks.
Yeah, that's one I keep thinking about, and I think it's definitely gonna make my top 10. Like the more and more I think about it, I also had it slated at 3.5 out of 5, but I think it probably deserves better than that. Like the more I like kind of get away from it and think of like all the other movies I've watched this year, I'm like, yeah, that's one that keeps sticking with me in my head. So that's definitely one I recommend anyone check out before year's end. My last one tonight, a little true crime for you guys. I haven't really talked true crime movies in a while, and I haven't watched much horror, so you're just going to listen to my true crime spiel. All right, Netflix just came out. Number one, I think, for TV series or movies currently. That's the reason I decided to put it on, and it's called Bad Surgeon, Love Under the Knife. This is a wild story. The truth is always stranger than fiction when you watch these documentaries. You come to learn. But this one is about a surgeon named Paulo Macchiarini. And essentially what we thought, or what the world thought, I mean, they're showing like, stories from like Dateline and all these major news organizations reporting on him basically like creating this plastic windpipe that he was able to put stem cells on, and he was able to get it to like grow inside, and this plastic windpipe was saving people's lives, or so we thought. What we come to learn is it was a complete fucking scam. He was testing on humans before he even tested on animals. Basically all the patients he ended up putting these things in ended up dying, and it gets crazier from there. You come to find out, he was living a double life. He was married to he proposed to a woman in America. Well, he was also married to a woman in Barcelona, Spain. He had a wife and 2 kids there. Kept this lie going for years. Essentially, he was telling people he worked for the CIA and he was really a secret sniper. The Pope was going to marry him and this new woman he met. The Obamas, the Clintons, and Putin were all on the wedding list and stuff. I mean, the fucking story gets crazy and crazy. But at the end of the day, it's sad because like all of these poor people, and they do focus a lot on these poor people who he basically promised. A lot of them like were dying. Like, a lot of them had throat cancer, or there was even this one young girl who was 2 or 3 years old that had this, rare disease, and they were basically promised like essentially like a chance at a second life. And, they weren't, like he completely deceived all these people. And then there were even people that just had cosmetic stuff wrong. Like there was one lady who had a trach. She could have lived her whole life, but, he promised her he could put this thing in this, and, no, I mean, she died like weeks later. Because he was essentially a complete con man. And I won't, if you're interested in seeing, I won't say what ends up happening to him, but it probably wasn't enough. So yeah, that is Bad Surgeon, Love Under the Knife, 3-part series over on Netflix.
Sounds like Saw X, man. John Kramer needs to pay him a visit.
Right. I mean, this one of the most fucked up scenes is there was like another documentary crew following him because obviously like people thought like I don't know how he completely deceived like the medical field either. Like you would think like some sort of other surgeon would be like, you can't fucking do that or something like that, but there was one scene in particular where they're getting ready to do the surgery and like one of his assistants is like, this is like 3 millimeters too small for this person's throat. And he's like, no, it's fine. Just put it in anyway, And then like fucking the lady like can barely breathe like post-op, So, I mean, it's just terrible, terrible shit, but it's a wild story. It was, yeah. So if you're into like sort of true crime, medical stuff, I definitely recommend it.
I will definitely be checking that out. So the final film this week is a movie I watched over on Paramount Plus. It is a 2023 film by the name of You're Killing Me. So this is the story of a girl. She's about to graduate high school. She wants to get into a very specific college and she has the grades for it and everything, but she doesn't have the kind of political / family ties to get her into that college. So she's put on a waiting list. So she decides to petition I think he's a congressman or something. His son is also going to the same school. So she's kind of asking that guy, hey, can I plead my case to your dad to help me get into the school? A recommendation letter would go a long way, all that kind of stuff. He refuses to do it. I'm sure he gets this all the time. So she goes to a party that he's hosting for the end of school. It's like a costume party of devil / angel. And she goes there with the idea of, try to petition him again just to like, please, I need this for my college and everything. And she brings her friend along. Her friend gets absolutely wasted, but she hasn't successfully kind of gotten the guy to do it yet. So she brings her drunk friend upstairs to a bedroom, lies her down. And then there's this other drunk guy who happened to be in the bathroom of that room. While that was happening, he goes over to her and starts like taking pictures of her while she's passed out. But thankfully, the other girl comes back into the room and like catches at him before he gets too crazy with it, and he drops his phone and he kind of bolts out of the room. She looks at the phone, sees that he was taking pictures. She's disgusted, but as she's going through the pictures, she notices a video of a missing girl from that town that they had kidnapped and started doing stuff to. And she bolts the door and tries to figure out what to do with this information. The phone's about to die. And that's kind of the gist of the story, is that guy who's friends with the guy who owns the house, they're trying to get the phone back, but they can't because the door is barricaded. And it's basically them trying to get the phone and the people with the phone trying to somehow get that information out, to kind of alert authorities. Eventually the congressman comes home and his wife is actually, I think it's the last role that Anne Heche ever played. And they get involved and it becomes kind of this whole thing. I was interested to see where this movie would go. At first it looked like it would be something pretty sick and it's like well shot, well filmed, all that stuff. But there's not a whole lot that happens in this story. I was so bored. They spend way too long in them in the bedroom and then people trying to get in through the one door that they can get through. Like it would be so easy for the guy to get in there if you really, really wanted to. So I don't really understand why it took so much time. Like they try to explain it with, they put like a thing in front of the door so they can't get through, but there's no way. Like if you really want to get in, I'm sure you could. And it just doesn't go in a good place after that. I actually thought it was poorly acted as well. I mean, God rest her soul, Anne Heche is just not good in this. I know she had some issues late in her life, with drugs and everything, and she didn't seem to be in a good place when she filmed this, and it shows in her performance. It was just, the movie just felt off to me, and I can't say that I enjoyed it. I gave it 1.5 stars out of 5. It's I don't recommend this one at all.
Oof.
Ouch.
Yikes.
Alrighty. Should we get into trivia then, gentlemen?
Do it.
I suppose we should. Joe and Steve. Steve is in the lead with 18, Joe 16, myself 11 for the year. However, we're getting down to the freaking wire. It is Joe in the lead with 74, Steve 72, myself 71. Let's fucking go, bros. Who's leading off?
I can start off. All right. So all my questions this week are going to be guess the movie based off the IMDb parental guide, because I wasn't feeling very adventurous today, so I'm just doing those. So the first one, sex and nudity.
Ah, yes.
At the beginning of the movie, an older woman has her nipples poking through her shirt.
Okay.
Violence and gore. An injured man begs for help. He twitches, his skin begins to bubble and swell, and spider-like creatures burst out of his face. Blood and tissue spurts.
All right.
You look like you want to take a guess there, Todd.
No,
Too early?
No, I'm good.
All right. Profanity. 14 F words and its derivatives, 1 sexual reference, 29 scatological terms,
What
12
does that mean?
poop joke,
Oh.
12 anatomical terms, 14 mild obscenities, name calling, stupid, hicks, lunacy, crazy, 6 religious profanities, and 30 religious exclamations. And a man calls his chainsaw a cocksucker. A woman is called a whore several times. Alcohol, drugs, and smoking. A woman commits suicide by taking an overdose pills. A man smokes a cigarette. A few people drink beer.
Oh my gosh.
Finally, frightening and intense scenes. These alien bugs sting people and they get blisters all over and they swell up.
Mosquito?
Wrong. Multiple suicides are distressing.
Shoot.
Leather?
Wrong. You guys got one more guess? That last one is the giveaway.
Yeah, I was
Is
gonna
it-
say, can you repeat the last one?
Yeah. These alien bugs sting people and they get blisters all over and they swell up. Multiple suicides are distressing.
Is it The Mist?
That's correct.
Ah,
The
yeah.
suicides was the key with the alien bugs.
I'm actually reading that one right now.
Yeah.
Short story. All right, I'll go since I got that one.
No.
No.
I
Okay.
insist. All right. What happened to the people that were caught outside when the comet passes in Night of the Comet 1984?
they
They
start-
melt.
don't they start glowing and then melt? It's too late.
No.
Fine.
You guys are close, though, but I'm not going to allow it since it's such
No,
a
it's close.
tight race.
What was? It's been so long. I didn't even like it. I gave it 2 out of 5.
You didn't
I
like it?
noticed.
Oh,
No.
man. I liked it a lot.
I haven't seen it in
Yeah,
forever.
I don't
Well,
remember.
They are turned to dust.
Gotcha.
Similar to melting, but not
Yeah,
quite.
that's not saying.
It's not. Okay. I have a little theme tonight, but I'm not gonna say what it is.
Christmas. Let's do
'Cause
it.
I'm not giving you guys any ideas. But Steve might be correct. All right. Tagline:
Uh-oh.
if this movie doesn't make your skin crawl, it's on too
Black
tight.
Christmas.
Correct.
Yay. That may or may not be in Todd's epic trivia book coming out
Nice.
year 2033.
Love it.
All right, still on the parental guide.
Oh, yeah.
Sex and nudity.
Mm.
A few scenes of naked old men. While these scenes are generally dark lit, genitals and buttocks are clearly
Oh.
visible.
Like it.
Violence and gore. We see a field full of bloody reindeer carcasses.
Oh, rare exports.
Correct.
I was thinking Hereditary at the beginning.
Mm,
Yeah, it could have been.
mhm.
Yeah, with the naked
Yeah,
older people.
that's true. Yeah.
When you were saying that, Steve, I was wondering, like, what is the parental guide for American Psycho? Like,
Oh, God,
it's
yeah.
gotta be, it's gotta be pretty
Right?
funny.
Yeah.
All right, my turn.
God. Yep.
Yes.
What college are the 5 kids from The Evil Dead 1981 from?
It's a great question.
Michigan
Ooh.
State.
Correct.
That
There you
is a
go.
total
He knows his
fucking
Raimi.
guess. I just figured it was probably in Michigan. I read the book, so
That's an excellent book, man.
yeah, I know.
Did you
Alrighty.
ever finish Angry Video
Nope.
Game Nerd book
No, I'm saving it for my next trip. So
for 2 years? Damn, you read.
I'd like some Todd Condits coming out this year. It just I had to put all my other shit away and read that one instead. And then of course our good friend Eric also had a story in a book
Yeah.
this year. So yeah, I had to put away the nerd. until I was done.
Hang up
Those.
the nerd.
Yep.
All right.
All right, 3 Letterboxd reviews. Guess the movie.
Okay.
Number 1, Patrick Bateman's origin story. Number 2, this is just what all 12-year-olds are like.
12-year-olds.
And number 3, studio pitch. Funny Games meets Home Alone meets Good Boys. Definitely more naughty than nice.
Better watch out.
Correct.
Oh, very good. Yeah.
That,
That kid's
might
a
be.
fucking creep.
That's one I kind of wish I picked now
That's a good one.
for this year.
Next year. Next year.
Yeah.
All
That
right.
kid's a fucking nightmare in that movie.
My final one, still with the parental guide. A woman who isn't wearing panties under her skirt spreads her legs and briefly flashes her vulva. Pubic
Oh.
hair and labia all are visible.
Basic Instinct.
I know. I was gonna say, we want to say Basic Instinct.
Bonus nudity.
Vagina shown. Got it.
Bonus nudity because there was one missing. I don't remember which one. You see a man's flaccid penis and testicles repeatedly.
Oh.
Violence and gore. A dead man is briefly shown with half his face bashed in.
Candyland.
Correct. And on
Yes.
fire day.
I'm coming back, baby.
You want your title back?
Good movie. All right. What is the name of Will Smith's dog in I Am Legend 2007?
Oh, Christ.
I feel like we've had this one before.
Is it
Sheriff?
Sheriff? No, incorrect.
I just looked at an article because they're doing 2.
Yeah.
I don't think that dog's gonna make a reappearance.
No,
I don't
I
know.
know he doesn't. Oh, you know what?
Sad-
If the fucking
sadly.
guy from Black Phone can come back, the goddamn dog from I Am Legend can come back too.
I know I choked you out, but
Yeah, yeah.
Man, I haven't seen I Am Legend in forever.
yeah.
Probably since theaters, honestly. I don't know. I was going to guess Beauty, but that still have eyes.
There you go, lady.
Okay, incorrect, everyone. This is really close to Joe. The character's name is Sam.
Oh,
Wow.
yeah.
Sam.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, then.
Hmm.
They're making it part 2, right?
Yeah, that's there. I read an article with Michael B. Jordan and Will Smith.
Oh,
Interesting.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. Guess the movie based on IMDb information.
Okay.
This movie was released in 2015. Rated PG-13. Clocking in at 1 hour and 38 minutes. We have a cast of Allison Tolman, MJ Anthony, Stephanie Levy Owen, and Krista Stadler. Writers, Todd Casey, and question mark for now, because that might be a giveaway, dead giveaway. Tagline is, you don't want to be on his list.
Krampus?
Correct.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
God damn.
And the, of course, writer I left out was Michael Dougherty.
Yeah.
And the cast members I left out was Adam Scott, Tony Collette, and David Koechner.
All right.
And Todd with the fucking monster.
Todd on
night.
fire tonight.
Yeah.
Big
Absolute
night.
fire.
Big night tonight. Myself 5, Steve and Joe each tied. And you know what? Honestly, it feels good. It feels good to have
Yeah.
a win. Because I haven't had a win in a while. All right. So the year-end tally is Joe still in the lead with 80. However, Steve and Todd tied at 78 apiece. This is any man's
man.
game
It's
coming down
tight.
on the wire.
It is tight.
Oof. I like it.
Very nice.
Love it. Alrighty, gentlemen. Are you ready for our main event of the evening?
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty. So we have tonight, of course, streaming over on Shudder, 2023's It's a Wonderful Knife, directed by Tyler McIntyre, starring Jane Widdop, Joe McHale, and Justin Long. Also, Catherine Isabel in here as well. So, Todd, take us away.
Sure. This Christmas, your wishes will come true. And your nightmares too. All right, so we get a nice little intro to the town where Justin Long is a mayor / like a tycoon figure. He controls everything. He's fucking kissing ass. He has a big set of fake teeth that look really weird. He has really bright contact lenses that look really weird. He has an accent that comes in and out. I don't even know what kind of accent it is because it's supposed to be like in the north, right? But it's like kind of southern. I don't even know. We meet a family fathered by Joel McHale. He's got his kids, his daughter and son, and they're, late teens, early 20s, something like that. We go out to a little party, and a killer dressed as like an all white angel topper starts offing her friends, right? Her and her brother, though, manage to turn the tables and kill the killer, revealing that it's Justin Long. Flash forward a year later, and our girl, what was her name again in this movie? Winnie? Does that sound right? I don't know. The main girl, she
It
is like
it is
it's
Winnie.
All right. The main girl, she lost her best friend, and it's a year later, and the town has moved on. Her family is like the mayor now, or something like that, and they're excelling. But she is kind of filling in the dumps, man. She lost her best friend. The town has moved on. Her family's moved on. They favor the brother heavily. Like they get him a new truck for Christmas, and they get her like a jogging outfit for her to lose weight or something. So she goes out to the town, and there's like a Aurora Borealis goofy ass thing going on, and she wishes that she didn't exist or was never born or something like that. And then she gets her wish. No one recognizes her. All her friends are like, "Who the fuck are you?" Her family's like, "We don't have a daughter. We have a son, and he's dead." So it turns out the killer has been, since she never existed, the killer was successful in his night a year ago, and he's just been killing steadily like every month or something since then. So without her intervening a year ago, then like the murderer just goes and does what he wants. We learn that the family only has the brother, but he was killed by the murderer, and now we have to figure out how we're going to get Winnie to come back to life or whatever, and then also stop the killer at the same time. So cool concept, in my opinion. Decent kills at times, but overall, man, this was a very rough watch. I'll just say though, like Justin Long is an extremely likable person from what we see, in films. Like I always like him personally, so it's very hard to make him like unlikable. And even in Barbarian, like he's a piece of shit, but he also has charm, right? In this movie, my God, like I just whenever he's on screen is just slimy, and I guess that was the intention. But what did you guys think?
Yeah, so this was my pick. I picked it just because it's a brand new Christmas horror movie. So, and I'm 0 for 2 right now. I picked, well, you guys might have liked Bloody Christmas last year, but I wasn't as big on it. So this is another one. This was just a miss for me overall. I think it started okay. Like I thought the intro was pretty good, like with the original killing scene and stuff like that. I think they, though, revealed the killer too soon. I think it would have been better had they not revealed it and it was kind of keeping us guessing. I think that might have made it a little more interesting. I liked the design of the killer. I thought it was kind of cool. And it led to some pretty cool kill scenes and stuff like that with the blood going all over sort of the white costume and stuff. I thought that was cool. But overall, man, I just wasn't feeling this one. And I agree with Todd. It's actually a really like fun and cool concept, and it should have been like a fun movie. But I've said this a lot of times on this podcast, and it's pick a lane. It's either your slapstick comedy or you're like taking it more serious, or blend the two well together. But this movie just tonally is very odd and is kind of all over the place. And they should have picked one or the other. Just go like full bore sort of horror, like comedy with horror elements, or just take it a little more on the serious side. But they go back and forth, and I just wasn't feeling it. I also thought the acting for the most part was terrible. Like especially like I'm sorry, but especially like our lead and Bernie, like the two of them. Also like zero chemistry between Winnie and Bernie, and we're supposed to, and whatever I'm sorry, the friend, I think her name is Bernie. We're supposed to believe that they're sort of like develop this sort of, love relationship, and I just wasn't feeling it. Like I never felt the chemistry there. So when they do finally like kiss or get together towards the end of this movie, like I was not buying it whatsoever. I also feel like the lines were delivered terribly for the most part between the two of them. As far as bright spots, I think Justin Long did a pretty solid job as our sort of villain / killer in this one. But once again, I feel like there's so many people in this town that there, like Thanksgiving, there were so many red herrings that they could have introduced, but instead they presented the killer, 5 minutes into the movie. So it's never keeping us guessing. And honestly, it was bored. I was bored a lot of the time. Like I found like I was checking and this movie's not even that long, but I was like, man, is this over yet? Like it felt like a total chore to get through. And it's funny because like I just watched a movie super similar like on my watch the other week, and that was totally killer. Like a very similar sort of idea, but in my opinion, I didn't even like that movie that much. But I think that they executed it better in that than this. Like this should have been with like the Christmas theme, and of course playing off "It's a Wonderful Life." You know, this should have been a pretty at minimum like a decent watch. But just I think just way too many poor choices were made here that is it's one of my least favorites of the year we've watched, honestly.
Yeah, this movie's rough, man. Like I really wanted to like it, and it started off like decent enough. You know, you had Justin Long as the villain. Even though I didn't like his accent, you know, I do like him, so that could have been interesting. And they got 3 like early kills. First, they kill the cigarette smoking man from X-Files. You know, they slit his throat, and then you get a guy that gets a candy cane through his throat, and then they kill another girl with a white jacket with the blood all over. So they're like, okay, maybe this will be one of those slashers that has just a lot of kills, and it'll be pretty interesting. But you like almost right away they show that Justin Long was the killer. He gets killed by like these kind of electrical plugs and everything. And yeah, it's just from there, it's just like, what the fuck is going on? When she moves over to the multiverse or whatever it is, I was like, what, really? Seriously, do we really need another multiverse story this year? Like, it's been done so much in other films over the last year that we really don't need this right now. And it was like almost like copying Back to the Future 2 with the way that Justin Long's character is portrayed, as once he does become mayor of this town, he like runs the town, and the town becomes like a total shithole, but he's got a pristine, like nice building in the background with a big W. I think Waters is his last name. And
he's fucking Biff, dude.
He's Biff. It was fucking Back to the Future too. So I'm like, why? What's going on? I was just really confused as to why they were doing this, and it just didn't really get any better from there. And you know, she goes to her family to try to convince them that, you know, she's the daughter, and they're not. But the aunt believes her based off one story that she knew. Like, if someone came to your door and they're like, "Oh, I'm your son or your daughter," I guess in this case, and they're like, they know one thing about you, I'd be like, "Yeah, that's totally plausible. That I had a kid I had no idea about from another dimension or whatever." There's so many holes in this movie.
And the
that
mom's
just,
getting banged by some young dude.
oh yeah, it was a fucking weird film. And Joe's right, the relationship, you know, so this is a girl she didn't know, that it was just like a quote unquote weird person that would just hang out at parties that was there, and they never interacted other than like a nod from across the room. But she chooses her to go on this adventure. This adventure is like what, 2 days maybe? I don't think this like the events of the movie last very long, but you're supposed to like think that they're like completely in love by the end of the film. It makes no sense. There's no fucking way that they fell in love with so little interaction in the span of like these 2 days. There's a lot of things in this movie. And going back to Justin Long, he's not in it as much as I thought he would be. Like, they set him up to kind of be the big bad in the new world, and I get that he's not the killer, and that's kind of the twist. But at the same time, I thought he should be in it more. And they also set up like his son as being important to the story, which he doesn't really end up being all that important to the story. There's just a lot of things in this movie that they could have fixed, and it could have been better. But as it stands, it's rough.
Here's one part that I didn't fucking understand at all, and that is like Justin Long has the townspeople at one point like under this fucking spell where they're all
with
like
the green eyes.
With the green eyes, and like what the fuck is
the female version when they're all
what,
like possessed?
What is happening here? Like, is there like some weird supernatural? And it's not really explained all that well. I forget like how even the people come out of the spell. Does she kill him? Right?
Yeah, that's right. She kills
like,
him.
Right, she kills him. So she ends up killing Justin Long for the second time. In this movie, like obviously, like it makes sense that he would be the killer, right? Because he's this like rich business tycoon. He's trying to force all the small businesses out so he can take over the whole town, which he does in this multiverse that she enters. But the supernatural elements we get, like when we get into this multiverse, it made no sense to me. It wasn't explained at all. I mean, are we to think that like in this universe there is Justin Long has these, or is he gaining like supernatural elements from killing so many people? I don't know. Like, it made no fucking sense to me. The only other supernatural element you get obviously is the Aurora Borealis, Northern Lights thing, which where does this movie take place? Like, I don't, they said they're too far from Alaska that you shouldn't even see the Northern Lights. So like, I don't know where they are either in this movie, but like, I don't know, like that whole Justin Long putting people under a trance thing. It was just like, I didn't understand it.
I don't either. And so Justin Long's the killer in the first version, right, of this movie, and then in the second version it's Joel McHale, right? So this
Well,
is
it's both of them, right? Or is like he doing the killing just for like, I think it's both of them, right? They're kind of working together.
I don't know, but they have like a
Or-
fucking 5-inch different like so and the fact that they don't know, that's like is a weird thing.
Yeah, so in the original timeline, her dad is still the killer, right? Or does he become a killer because Justin
He-
Long kills his son?
I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
Snap.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, it was just there's too much going on in this movie. There's there's too ambitious, I guess. I don't know. Like I really don't have anything nice to say. Like you guys already gave all my thoughts, and it was just a mess. And talk about underutilized. What's her face? The aunt. I forget her name all of a sudden.
Catherine
Catherine
Isabel.
Yeah, but she's great, and then but they barely use her in this film, which is like a travesty. So I don't know, man.
Missed opportunity. I think completely abandon the Bernie character and have the aunt be sort of the helper. That makes
The
more sense, right?
catalyst,
Because that makes way more sense because like they have this like really close relationship and she's kind of like the cool aunt and she's a good actress, right? Like we like her in a bunch of other horror stuff, but instead you force the whole Bernie Winnie relationship thing. Like I said, there was just no chemistry between those two characters. It just felt really forced. So I would personally just completely eliminate Bernie as the character. I mean, I understand why they introduced her at some point because we come to find out, oh, she wanted to commit suicide. So like it,
Another
brings
plot point that's not needed.
not needed, but it makes sense, right? Because if they're playing off It's a Wonderful Life,
All right.
that's the kind of the whole plot line of that movie. So like I get why they did it, and it it leads to sort of a happy ending, I guess. At the end of it, and that's another big issue I have with this movie is that when we get to the ending, why does Bernie remember? She shouldn't remember.
It's a
No.
Like
miracle. It's a Christmas
at the end of
miracle,
the
dude.
it's a Christmas miracle. Okay, so
God bless us.
Bernie remembers apparently her and Bernie are the only two people that remember. It doesn't make any fucking sense. Like it's just
None
like
whatsoever.
it's like once again just a very convenient way to end the movie as like a sort of happy feel good thing, and it just comes off like
Yeah, and I'm still
No.
bothered by the fact that why she picked Bernie as like her kind of like sidekick throughout this movie, because she goes to the party. I'm going to use real names for this. So I go to a party, no one remembers me. I'm like, hey Joe, do you remember me? No. Todd, do you remember me? No. Sam, do you remember me? No. Okay, you know what? I'm going to hang out with the weird person that I nodded at once, and that's going to be my sidekick in this movie. I'm not going to try to convince my actual friends that I know that, to help me through this. No, I'm going to go to the one person in the room that I had one interaction with one time. It's such a weird fucking choice. Like, I don't know.
No, I think it's because there's like this message in this movie that like was so force fed. It's like be yourself, like be happy that you're you. And the girl turns out, she has feelings for women. So like she becomes herself, and then quote unquote weirdo Gertie, right? Gertie, whatever.
Bernie.
Bernie like is weird, and everyone calls her a weirdo. Even our lead character calls her weirdo, and now she's comfortable being weird or different. So the message of the story is be yourself. And
But like they
I
could
don't
have
know.
achieved that again. Like I forget which of you two mentioned it. So her aunt's a lesbian as well. She's dating the girl from Influencer, which we reviewed on the
So is
podcast.
her brother.
Right. So they could have like helped her through those feelings, without actually having a significant other like situation. They could have somehow made it work, but no. And we introduced this kind of random girl to do it, and it's just too quick. There's no way that they would fall in love that quickly. I guess in movies sometimes they do, but I don't know. I just didn't feel it in this one.
Well, just from hanging out in the movie theater and taking a nap, that's why they fall in love or something.
Yeah. Once again, that's the thing. Like, it just like they didn't develop the characters enough for you to make it believable that they were like actually like falling in love, right? It just too rushed, didn't work. I think just yeah, they should have just expelled that whole storyline, and I think they'll go with Aunt. I think it would have been a better movie, honestly, for it, but they did not go that route. I mean, what do you guys think of the kills overall, though? I mean, there are some decent kills in here. That's probably the highlight of the movie. I think my favorite being probably the scene out in the snow when it is an off-screen kill, but I fucking loved the sight of the White Angel
blood
kind of
splash.
covered it, the blood splash all over it. I think that's probably one of the coolest moments and kills in the entire movie.
I agree, and I always love when it's like a stark white background and then blood hits it. It looks really cool. But my favorite kill, and this is where the movie still had me, where I was like, all right, cool, let's do it, is when her best friend gets murdered outside the party, and she's just like stabbed fucking repeatedly, and then followed around and stabbed. I'm like, oh, cool, man, we get some brutal shit going on. So I really like that kill.
So my favorite kill is actually the first one when she enters the second like universe, and it's just the killer stalking with an axe, but it's the fact that they're playing like Trans-Siberian Orchestra music in the background, and it just felt like an epic chase. Even though the kill itself wasn't particularly memorable, I liked that it was using kind of that orchestral Christmas music in the snow as he's chasing her, and I love that feel, and I was hoping they would go with more of that, because I thought it would be just basically her, chasing the killer a little bit more into this new world. But that's another issue I have with this film. The killer always attacked at the most convenient time, almost like he would wait outside the window for like the perfect dialogue for him to like break through the window and attack them. First, I don't even know how the fuck he knew where they always were, but also he's just like always waiting for that perfect time. It just made no sense.
I really got like, and some made for TV movies for fun, like sci-fi picture original movies, Friday Night Special movies. Sometimes they're good. This one had a bad made for TV vibe. Like it was really like bright and colorful, and the music didn't work except for like some of the Christmas music. Christmas music in horror movies always hits. I love that. But like some of the like their generic score, I was like, gosh. So I just had like unpolished, but at the same time too polished, if that makes sense, vibes throughout the whole movie. And I was just like, man, like nothing's working for this. It was a chore, man.
Agreed, and I think generic is a great word for this movie. Like it just felt so generic. Like there's nothing new here. I mean, it ripped off obviously Freaky, but I had just looking at the poster, it says from the writer of Freaky, so it makes a hell of a lot of sense now. But I mean, we've seen this movie now, like Steve said, like so much in the past couple of years because of the success of Happy Death Day and whatnot, that we're getting all of these sort of multiverse movies in the horror genre. But like, I don't know, it's just this could have been a good movie, right? Like, it's just the script is rough, and like you said, it's very unpolished, right? Like I feel like had this gotten a bigger budget and a better script, and like a theater release, this could have actually been pretty great, because I think there is a cool idea there. But as is, like, it's just rough. It's rough around like all the edges. And can we just talk about like the biggest plot one? Another big like issue I had, maybe a Todd gripe, but the broken camera, right? Like she holds onto it for a year. She's just holding on to that broken camera for fucking that, like really fucking bothered me. I'm like, why the fuck? Like, okay, like she broke it, I think the night of the killing or whatever, and then a year later she's still just fucking holding on to it. Why? First of all, it's a terrible memory, and she's clearly depressed because of it, but she's like keeping it in her bedroom to remember like the fucking horrible moments she had. Like it made no sense.
She loves being sad, and I love how Todd gripes are becoming. I'm not even saying them anymore. It's just you guys. So, like, that's funny.
But and that lends to one of my least favorite scenes in the entire movie. A shot I think the director thought was going to look really cool that I fucking couldn't stand. And that is when they're in the movie theater and she's taking photos with the camera, and we keep getting like a white flash, and you would see like little things here and there. It went on way too fucking long. It would have been cool in like a 10-15 second scene, but it went on for like over a minute, and you can't see. It's so chaotic. It made me fucking dizzy and nauseous. I fucking hated that scene.
And we've also seen that scene before in other
that
horror
too,
movies.
yeah.
Like Saw did it. I think it's the first Saw that did it with the flash off the camera, and it's just it's not an original thought, and you're right, it was so chaotic that you couldn't even see anything anyway. So who the fuck cares? Yeah, it didn't work. But so this is such a small thing, but it's just proof that I think my biggest issue, my biggest issue with this movie is the writing. I think Joe had mentioned it. And the scene that really made me like believe that point, and it's such a small thing, but to me it's really like kind of poor writing, is at near the end when Justin Long is like I think he's doing the tree lighting or something, but in the second world, someone gives him like a box of cookies as a gift, and he immediately just fucking like throws it in the trash. We knew he was bad. We did not need him to do that to prove that he's an asshole. It just felt so forced. I was just like, what are they doing? Like, you don't
just
need
reminding
that.
you.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just a lot of stuff. I thought it was poorly written overall.
Yeah. If we're going over worse scenes, I think the whole possession, tree lighting, your brother, the sheriff, betraying you because he doesn't want to put up with the killings anymore and protect you. He's going to transfer to another sheriff. There's so much going on in that scene where, like, at the pivotal moment of the film, like, we need to have good character versus bad character, nothing else. And then we got all this side piece going on with like a bunch of questions. I still don't, even talking about it, I still don't get what the possession thing was. Like, still don't get it. So, yeah, that's the worst scene for me.
Yeah, and I once again, it just comes down to piss poor writing. Like, you don't like care about any of these characters. So like when you do come to find out that the brother died, okay, I just met him like literally like 2.5 minutes ago and he died, like he survived, but like I don't know who he is. I don't care. So like we don't even like care. I mean, I don't care anyway. Like if she does go back in time to save these people or not, because they didn't do a good job developing any of these characters. I mean, I guess like the character you care most about is our main character at points because we kind of spend the most time with her. But even her, I'm just kind of like, whatever. I mean, the whole movie I was so like checked out, like honestly, like okay, I will give like the first 15 minutes, I thought like before we get into this multiverse was pretty solid, like, you know, for like a low budget type part, because it does feel at the end of the day pretty low budget. So I was like, okay, this is like pretty decent, pretty fun so far. But man, once it starts well, but man, it just fucking takes a nosedive after that for me.
Yeah, no, I agree. The beginning was really good, and then then it wasn't. But I think if you want to commit to this story, I think you kind of need to have more after the initial kill, that initial night. I think you have to show her talking to her brother, going through the remorse and missing the best friend, because we don't know the best friend either. To your point with the brother, we saw her for a minute or two in a car, and that was it. So I think you need to show her grief, and then even like going as far as like getting help and showing that the family repeatedly tells her to get over it. We get that a little bit after the year jump, but not enough, like you said, to care about our main character, which is a huge problem. If you don't like the main character or the killer, it's like, man, like who do you even root for in this film?
Yeah, one last point I have anyway. It's just like another just like odd choice. Was there a reason they all had to become fucking like crackheads or whatever? Like when we get to the scene, everyone is just smoking
They're
crack.
strung out.
Just like everyone's like strung out smoking. Literally every single person at the party is fucking smoking crack. Like I'm just like, man, that's really bizarre. I just like I get it, right? Like the city, like the town is going through it, but like just everyone immediately becomes crackheads because like there's like 27 people dying. It's just such a bizarre choice.
Here's what probably happened, and I think it's still super funny that the mom has a lover that like lives with them, and Joe McHale is just fine with it. That's super funny. But you know what? Justin Long, he probably flooded this town with drugs just to keep him under his thumb. That's probably there's probably another layer to this, that in addition to all the other layers, that he turned everyone to cokeheads.
Yeah, I don't have an explanation. It's basically it's just Back to the Future 2. Somehow the world got so shit by having all that power that they're all on crack in one year.
Building,
You know,
what
at
is
least
in that building?
oh, it's he's got his own hot tub inside with girls.
He's got two ladies.
Yeah, he's got a safe in the back in his
And
office.
if a kid ever comes
Yeah.
around talking about that book,
That's right.
oh man! But that mall is like the ugliest fucking thing. It's
Mhm.
like it was a year, right? That construction project would be like 3.
No,
at
that's
least.
that's the whole thing. Like in 1 year, that whole town like just was in absolute ruins. He built this gigantic complex, and like, oh man, it just makes no sense. one last thing I have to mention, because I've talked about this a lot, I feel, lately. She literally did a fucking presentation on the wall to explain some events in the movie. She apparently stayed up all night, printed a bunch of fucking articles, put them on the wall with like little pins and little like strings and shit, and explained the plot to us. I was like, God damn, they have a plot presentation once again in this goddamn movie. Oh, I can't anymore. I can't.
Yeah, no, I can't either after this one. All right, let's get into it. I'll start us off with our final ratings. Yeah, I mean, this one was, I just did not like this one, man, at all. This is to me, one of the weakest Christmas horror movies I've seen in a little bit. It was a chore, honestly, for the most part. And like, even Sam at one point got up and just started like doing other shit because even she was bored by it, and she like loves everything Christmas. But yeah, I mean, this, at the end of the day, like, to me, it's like lifeless. This movie was just kind of lifeless. It's just kind of there, massively forgettable. I'll probably forget it in a couple weeks, honestly. It's not something I'll ever watch again. Like, it's not something I would even throw on at Christmas time just to get into that Christmas vibe. There's just so many better Christmas horror movies out there. Yeah, one of my least favorite movies we've probably watched this year. I'm at a 1.5 out of 5.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm teetering between a 1.5 and a 1, but I'll keep with the 1.5 because I think the plot, well, not the plot, the premise is pretty clever. Like, I can see this being a good film, maybe in different filmmakers' hands. And I like the opening 15 minutes. But yeah, it was just not good. And then when I'm looking at my phone 90% of the time, that's a problem, you know? And yeah, 1.5 out of 5. Not recommended.
I'm actually higher, despite all my issues with it. I was entertained by the fact that it was so weird and such an offbeat plot, and I like some of the kills and some of the music, and I gave it a 2, so it's still low, but I had some kind of enjoyment out of it. I'm not going to watch it again, that's for sure. But yeah, it was disappointing. I guess higher expectations than what they gave us.
Yeah, I think that's one of our worst rated movies in quite a while from when I can remember. So yeah, we do not, that's 3 not recommended for It's a Wonderful Knife. Better Christmas horror coming. It is going to be coming as we are celebrating Christmas horror all month long. Next week, what do we got, gentlemen?
We have Dead End, which is a nice little thriller that I am really high on, but I'm really eager to review it because it's been a minute. Also, I have a request for you guys. Make sure you watch both of the end credit scenes. There's one kind of in in traditional spot, and there's one very, 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 very end that's very quick, and you might miss it. So watch both of them.
Very cool. So that, so that'll be next week's review, guys. You can check it out. 2003's Dead End, free on Tubi and Amazon Prime, amongst many other platforms from what I see here. So check that out for next week's review. In the meantime, you can follow us on our socials: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Threads, The Horror Squad Podcast. You can also email us anytime, thehorrorsquadpodcast@gmail.com. But of course, the absolute best way to keep up with the podcast is our Discord. All you gotta do is send us a DM through our socials or an email, and we will get you a link to join the Discord. Completely free, amazing community over there. Tons of stuff going on all the time. Please join our Discord community. You can also buy merch, tpublic.com. Just search the Horror Squad Podcast. We have a lot of fun designs over there. You can support the podcast that way. But probably the best way to support the podcast, just leave us a 5-star review on any of your podcast platform apps. Also, thank you to everyone that's been listening. We did get our Spotify little wrap-up thing, and we saw that we're streaming in a bunch of new countries and stuff like that. Shout out to the UK, which was our most streamed place other than America. So shout out to all of our UK listeners and everyone else. So I think that is going to be it for this week's episode. We hope you enjoyed our review of It's a Wonderful Knife, and we'll see you guys next week for Dead End. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.